Hi, everyone. Today we're talking about a business topic. So, this is going to be specifically for entrepreneurs, small business owners, practitioners around hiring. Okay, this is a question that we get asked a lot around how do you hire well? And who should you be promoting? And what's kind of that lens that we should be looking at as entrepreneurs, as business owners, practitioners? What should we be looking for? What are the skills that we should be looking for? So, if we haven't met, my name is Dr. Karen. And I love teaching. I run a leadership coaching company with my husband. We work with organizations all around the world, and we love to take leadership principles and really apply them specifically for businesses, but also for families. So that's why we do a lot of topics here on YouTube and actually at our company. We teach leadership principles you can apply to both your businesses as well as your families. So with YouTube here, I really try to focus. I try to mix it up. Sometimes the topics are just relevant for business owners, and sometimes they're just relationships or wellness. But this one, we're going to focus in on the business side. So this will be really applicable for anybody who's a business owner and an entrepreneur. Okay, so I wanted to actually just share something with you. This is really interesting. This comes if you haven't got my book, it's called The Three Chairs. It's a leadership business book on mindset, and it gives you great framework for leadership. I just want to share with you a crazy stat. Reading from page 111. Research from Harvard Business Review said that a staggering 50 to 60% of executives fail within the first 18 months of being promoted or hired. Okay. And that is a terrible stat. Okay. That is a horrible stat. You think about the amount of investment in time and training that we do for somebody, and then all of a sudden they failed. And the reason, what I have found working with many, many teams in all sectors, the reason why a lot of people fail is that they are possibly looking for the wrong things. Okay, and that's what I want to talk to you about actually today. There's 5 kind of core skills that are really important for you to be looking for when you're hiring or promoting somebody. And so we're going to kind of dive in. All right, so the first thing I want to really kind of clarify is that when we're looking at hiring, so whether or not you're a small business, you've got a team of like 10 people, whether or not you run a 200-person company, doesn't really make any difference. The exact same strategy I'm going to be telling you are going to apply. The first thing we want to kind of differentiate is your IQ and your EQ. Your IQ is your technical skill. It's like how smart you are. It's like whether or not can you do the job. That's a really important piece. Obviously, when we're hiring somebody or we're promoting somebody, we got to make sure that they've got that technical skill for sure. But the technical skill by itself will not make somebody successful, which is why I really believe this 50 to 60% stat is actually the case. You need the IQ, but you need the EQ. You need both, okay? Because you need to have the technical skill, but if you don't have the EQ skills, and I'm going to unpack that for you in a second, you're going to have a massive problem. And so we're going to unpack those 5 core skills. So 5 things I want you to look for when you're hiring and you're promoting. And this comes out of, again, the 3 chairs, the middle chair mindset. That's a confident leader. What are those 5 core skills I want companies to basically be hiring and promoting? 5 core skills. It's the 5 core skills that actually unpack what's called emotional intelligence. And we've got a fabulous free scorecard. Just write down EQ below, and somebody from our team will send you the scorecard. It's free. It's 1 page. It's easy peasy. And you can actually kind of see what I'm doing. I'm going to be going through these 5 with you. And this literally is your roadmap in terms of who to hire and who to promote. Okay. You want to make sure they still have the technical skill. We don't want to be promoting somebody and they don't have that. So kind of thinking about, yes, they've already got the technical skill. Great. So now we're going to be looking for those EQ skills. So here we go. It spells the acronym CARDS. Okay. So CARDS is the acronym. And I love acronyms. It just helps us actually remember the information. So here we go. The first thing you're going to be looking for is their communication skills. So C stands for their communication skills. Are they able to clearly communicate? Can they be clear? Are they concise? Can they actually speak in a way that you can actually understand? I can think about people that we've hired over the years without saying any names. And there were some hires that they were super smart, but they could not communicate to me. I'm like, can you please, this is not my specialty, can you please speak in a very simple way so that I can understand? And they just couldn't do it. And because they were not able to communicate clearly, we would not hire them. Okay. And so this is I've heard Warren Buffett talk a lot about this in terms of like all the skills that people actually are learning. They need to learn how to communicate. So this is the first thing. When you're hiring, you're doing those interviews, when you are thinking about that person actually promote, can they communicate clearly, concisely, passionately, in the way that other people can actually kind of really get on board? Okay, so that is your first skill, everybody. And again, I unpack this in a lot more detail in the scorecard if you need it. Okay. The second one is their attitude or their goal setting skills. So going back to the 3 chairs, and actually I talk about the 3 chairs in other YouTube videos. I did a TED talk about the 3 chairs that went viral a couple of years ago, so you can watch that as well. But basically, that middle chair mindset, that's the person that's got the confident attitude. They have clarity about they have confidence about themselves, not arrogant. So they're open to feedback. They have that sense of humility, but they have a sense of confidence. So you also want to make sure that you are hiring somebody who has a sense of confidence. They've got the body language. They know how to, and again, you're going to see it when you're actually talking with them and they're interacting with you. Their level of confidence is going to be huge. Also, their ability to be actually setting goals. Goal setting is incredibly important because when you think about, again, you're hiring somebody, you're promoting somebody, do they have clarity about how to set goals? Now, this is interesting, okay, because if you're hiring somebody, okay, and you're hiring somebody in a job, you're like, well, Karen, are we asking them goals for the business or are we asking them goals in their personal life? I would actually be doing both, because what you really want is what you're looking for is self-leadership. What you want to find is a person who has clarity about, this is the vision that I have. These are the goals that I would like to set for myself. And so in an interview, I would be asking, tell me some of the personal goals that you've actually set for yourself this last year. I'm looking for initiative. I'm looking for goal setting. I'm looking for clarity of vision. Okay. And so if people can't answer that, I'm going to be concerned. If they can't do this on their personal life, I would be concerned about how they can actually do this in the business side. So these skills, these 5 skills that I'm talking about, you can actually apply them to both parts. You apply them for your self-leadership. You can also apply them to leadership within business actually as well. So that's the second one, everybody, is your attitude, the confident attitude, but then also goal setting skills. R stands for relationship skills. R stands for relationship skills. And this is a person, what you want to really look for is a person that is able to see things through a different lens. When I started working and expanding from families into business, this is the area that I started at. I actually started working with managers that were having a hard time retaining great talent. And part of the problem is that they were only looking at it from their lens. They were like, a lot of times they were boomers or they're Gen X and they were hiring millennials, and millennials are very different than Gen X and boomers. And so instead of really understanding where people are coming from, they became a lot of times very judgmental. And if we become judgy, we're not going to move the needle. We're not going to be able to really talk and engage with our teams. So R stands for your relationship skills, your ability to put yourself in the shoes of somebody else. Okay. Your ability, and this is where personality differences, cultural differences, racial differences, gender differences all kind of come out to play, is really helping, you want to be hiring and promoting somebody who realize that how they see the world is different than how other people see the world. You want a sense of openness. You want to have a person that's really self-aware. And so that is the third skill, everybody, that you really want to be looking for, is, do they have awareness around, for example, if you're hiring, this is an example. If you are hiring somebody in your company and they're a millennial, a great question would be around, what do you understand and what kind of awareness do you have about yourself, about your generation? What do you kind of connect to around some of the trends around millennials? And what are some of the insights you've actually learned about boomers or Gen X? And what parts would you agree with? And what parts, is there a time where you actually had a misunderstanding or you misinterpreted something from an older generation because you realized there was a generational difference? So you kind of like take what I'm trying to do is kind of give you a bit of a lens of, these are the 5 kind of categories I want you to be paying attention to. And then you can kind of like come up with your own questions about certain questions to kind of help to get a person to kind of really think about it. So for example, okay, one really interesting thing actually with the generations, this just kind of ties into the relationship side, is millennials and gender is so Gen Y, Gen Z, they love to ask why. Okay, they love to ask why. And I was just doing a podcast earlier, and the podcaster actually asked me about this. That's why it's top of mind. And I explained that that is a really important thing for younger generations. They really want to know why. Older generations sometimes misinterpret the question of why as they're being disrespectful. They're challenging my authority. I'm just, why do I have to tell them why? Like, this is just the way that it is. And that misunderstanding and not understanding relationship differences can have a massive problem in terms of your team. So again, we're talking about how to hire and who to promote. So you can you can lean in and ask questions specifically about relationships and understanding about themselves and some of these differences, personality differences, gender differences, relational, multi-generations, and all of it. Again, it's all in the scorecard. You'll see it. Okay. Fourth category, everybody, is D stands for your decision making. These are, some of them are actually a little bit more obvious, but this is a really good one in terms of who to hire, who to promote. So I would be asking in terms of some of the goals. Tell me about yourself. What are some of the goals that you actually have that you have actually set up for yourself? What are the ones that you actually achieved? What are the ones maybe you didn't get? What were some of your takeaways? How did you manage your time with all of that? So now what you're doing is you're leaning into in terms of your decision making, the decision making skills, because really what you want is somebody who has developed these leadership skills, again, on their personal life, so that when you're actually asking them about how they actually translate that to the workplace, it's very clear. Or you can actually just ask them, again, depending on your company and the culture and what exactly you do, you'll find kind of like your sweet spot in terms of like how to ask the questions accordingly. I'm just kind of giving the categories. But essentially with what you want to do is you're asking them about their decision-making skills and specifically time management skills. What do you know about in terms of how you manage your time? What are the strengths of your time management? What do you think you actually need to work on? Tell me about a time that you did really well in terms of your time management and another time that you didn't. So what you're doing is you're leaning into their time management, because what you want to do again is you want to hire and promote somebody who has clarity on the goals, they understand their objectives, but they know how to get things done. They step on the gas. They take initiative. Taking initiative is that fourth category. This is huge. Okay, taking initiative is a huge part in terms of around who to hire and who to promote. Last one, everybody, really important, is stress. Stress and emotion management. Interesting. I was working with a company and I was brought in as a consultant because they were having a lot of people quit. And when I started doing exit interviews, it became very clear that their CEO had a major anger management problem and would lash out at people, He was feeling a lot of stress. And because he was feeling stress, it was now impacting his communication. So these 5 core skills, everybody, are highly interconnected. Okay. They're not like on silos, they're highly interconnected. So he was not managing his stress well. So now it's actually impacting in terms of his communication. But what's really interesting, part of the reason why he was so stressed is because he wasn't managing his time well. So you had it was a total domino effect. But again, what you want to be doing is, one of the best qualities of a great leader is somebody who's calm. Okay, somebody who's calm, somebody who's really, they've got clarity about their goals. They know how to manage their time. They know how to communicate assertively. They know how to get the buy-in from their team. Because of that productivity drives goes really high. They also know how to say no. They know how to set boundaries. They know, and that's going to actually reduce their stress. And so this is a great question when you're in terms of hiring and promoting, is tell me about some of the boundaries that you have found that have really helped you in terms of actually doing a great job in your role. Or tell me some of the boundaries that you realize that you need to kind of tweak on. You're kind of getting them. What you want to do is you really want to get them to be aware. Okay, you want to have a really good conversation about their awareness on their stress. What do you do in terms of managing your stress? What do you do? What are some of the variables that you've actually found have actually really affected in terms of your stress level? You want them to be aware, because when people really manage their stress well, then all of a sudden they can be calm. That's not going to affect their communication, and that will affect the entire team. So these are the 5 core skills. Okay, these are the 5 core skills. And the one there's 2 that I forgot to highlight that I just want to highlight really quick right now. It comes in under the communication side. The communication one is really look for people to take ownership, okay? So people who have made a mistake, but they are taking ownership for that mistake. So that's really important. We are not looking for perfection. We are looking for excellence, and we're looking for people to take accountability, to hold themselves accountable. So that is going to fall under the C. And the other one that I forgot to mention under the A is humility. People who actually, again, who to hire is people who can say, I was wrong. I messed up. I screwed up, or I don't actually know how to do this. I'm going to actually ask for help. So that sense of humility is really, really important in terms of who to hire and who to promote. So in total, you want the IQ, like I said, but you want the EQ. You want those 5 core skills. And again, I'm giving you a framework. You can kind of come up with your favorite questions according to each of those categories. But these are kind of the things I want you to be looking for as you're having this really beautiful organic conversation with people. You're really trying to figure out, are we going to be a good fit or not? So get your hands on the scorecard. Just put EQ below. Somebody from our team will send it to you. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you get notified, and let us know if there's a topic you would like us to cover, either as it relates to either your business, your entrepreneurship, your relationship, or actually your well-being or your well-being. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you at one of our next videos.